Hello and welcome to another edition of the Dhavas of Democracy. It is really hot as we come to you live from Maharashtra. And the reason I'm mentioning the weather is because the heat might actually be impacting the turnout. The final formal turnout figures are here. They've been released by the Election Commission and they do confirm a just under 4% drop in turnout in the first phase and a just under 3% drop in the turnout in the second phase. How might this impact the Prime Minister's call for Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar? Should it be giving the opposition hope, or can a lower turnout hit all political parties? There's a lot to talk about. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story. Our road trip that started in Kanyakumari and is heading towards Kashmir has continued through peninsular India and the southern states. We have left Telangana and we're here in Maharashtra for a battle that some say has defied pollsters. It is Sena versus Sena, NCP versus NCP, and in some cases, the BJP and the Shinde Sena are also fighting over seats. This, as the debate continues over the turnout figures and the drop in turnout numbers and how that might impact the political fortunes of both formations. The Prime Minister is doubling and tripling down on his Muslim quota attack on the Congress. In every speech, he says that the Congress will take away your property and give it to Muslims. The Congress says that this is all rubbish, but the Congress has still not declared candidates for Amethi and Raebareli. I've met with a slew of leaders from all different political formations, and like in every election, both campaigns have their hits and misses, their highs and their low points. The Prime Minister is emphasizing the inheritance tax issue, the Muslim quota issue, the development issue. The Congress is countering and saying that none of this is in its manifesto. Meanwhile, the Prajal Rana issue, the grandson of Devi Gowda, a man accused of sexual exploitation and rape, has also surfaced. There's a lot that's going on in the churn of these elections, a lot to understand and decode. And in a moment from now, we'll be talking to a very special newsmaker. He is a leading political analyst, Sanjay Kumar of the CSDS, who also had a very important survey out just before the elections. Let's bring him up today as our guest on the program as we look at the turnout and the trends. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. Let me start by asking you the big question. The EC, amid criticism from the opposition, has finally released the turnout figures. And what we do know now officially is that there is a just under 4% drop for phase one and just under a 3% drop for phase two. You have been saying that this is a more muted election, if that's the correct word to use, compared to last time. It could be the heat, it could be the BJP voter assuming ki Modi to aayenge to Modi hi. We don't know. We actually don't know. How do you read the turnout figures now that they're official, sir?
Barkha, my first point is that why are we always trying to compare the turnout of 2024 with 2019? And because 2019 was an unusual election if you go by the turnout figure. That is an election which has witnessed the highest turnout ever in the electoral history. I'm talking about the Lok Sabha election. So if you keep comparing with the 2019 Lok Sabha election, I won't be surprised that in every phase we might witness a lower turnout of 3 or 4% compared to 2019. So, but if you just remove 2014 and 2019, the two very euphoric elections, and if you compare it with the last 15 Lok Sabha elections, you won't find turnout to be low. We might end up discussing that the turnout is very decent and the turnout is high. So I think too much is being read about why this turnout is low, what has caused decline in the turnout. I think it's nothing unusual in an election. Turnout has gone down by 2 or 3%. So why so much of hue and cry, and why are we trying to attach too many meanings to that?
So are you in a way saying that 2019 was an outlier election in terms of the turnout, and if we start comparing the numbers this time to last time, we may get a distorted political understanding?
Distorted because people are, without any evidence, we are trying to give different meanings to this low turnout. Whether Modi supporters have not turned out to vote, or whether the opposition party supporters have not turned out to vote. And the problem with this narrative is that whosoever want to look at or want to go along with the narrative, they are trying to give that color to that narrative. That look, even with 2019 and 14 Lok Sabha elections, these are the two elections which witnessed a very high turnout. And generally, there is a belief that this was an election uh, contested on the Modi phenomena, Modi euphoria. And if it has come down, which is an indication that Modi euphoria has come down, which is to say, maybe the BJP voters have not turned out to vote in such large numbers. My own sense is that if there are 100 voters who should have voted, but if they have not turned out to vote in an election, I don't think there is any reasonable evidence to suggest that out of this, a very huge majority of voters would be of one party. I think the division would be, I'm not saying equal, it could be differences, shades of difference. So I expect, yes, out of these 100 voters, assuming that 100 voters have not turned out to vote, it could be a division of 60-40, could be 55-45. That's the kind of division I see among those who have not turned out to vote. If you look at the 3% decline or a 4% decline.
But Sanjay ji, what about the heat? Is the heat an X factor? And I bring this up because I started my journey from Kanyakumari. I drove through the southern states, and I'm right now live from Maharashtra. And itni garmi hai. I know you were also in Mumbai recently. Itni garmi hai that I can see. Forget everything else. People will just say, "यार छोड़ो, कौन निकलेगा इस गर्मी में?" Is the heat turning out to be an X factor?
In my opinion, it's not the weather heat which is making an impact, uh, but it is the political heat which may have made an impact on the turnout. And why do I say that? It is important to look at the turnout constituency wise constituency. If you look at Rajasthan and look at the constituencies which have witnessed slightly higher turnout compared to 2019, or even if there is a dip, there is a marginal dip compared to 2019. And which are these constituencies? At least going by the perception, if you look at these constituencies have witnessed a close contest between the Congress and the BJP. You name Barmer, you name Kota, and there are large number of such constituencies. The perception is that these are the constituencies which has witnessed a very keen contest between BJP and Congress. So the nature of contest, and I should also mention, look at West Bengal, phase one, the turnout in all the constituencies was higher compared to the previous election. Second phase, marginally low. Bihar, the turnout is very low, but look at the turnout in Purnia constituency. And we know that in Purnia, it is Pappu Yadav who is contesting as an independent. So you get shades, I get some kind of a sense that the nature of political contest is one of the overarching factor which has resulted in a low turnout or a high turnout. If in a constituency, the perception got created that ये तो जीत ही रहे हैं, there is no contest, maybe the turnout has gone down. That's the overall. If you talk about the temperature, I would refer it to the political temperature, not the weather temperature.
How do you see both campaigns stack up at the end of two phases? The Prime Minister has written a letter to all candidates ahead of phase three. And he has said that this is not an ordinary election. I was struck by why the Prime Minister felt the need to say that. The opposition, of course, is saying the BJP is nervous. The BJP is saying that it never takes chances. The other thing that's happened is that the Prime Minister is doubling down on the Muslim quota issue and coupling it with the inheritance tax. Why do you think the BJP has made this pivot, and how do you think it's being received on the ground?
I'm not sure how it is being received on the ground at this moment, but one thing is very clear, that if you go by the first two phases of election, what is the perception? I think the perception has got created that BJP is not as confident as it was 2 months ago. So a perception has got created that Congress and the opposition is putting up a strong challenge against the BJP. BJP is on a slightly defensive wicket. So I think the general perception is that the election is not as one-sided as it looked like 2 months ago. There is a contest going on in different constituency. This may damage or this may hurt the BJP in some constituency. And I think such a letter Prime Minister has written to all the candidates only to enthuse the party workers, only to send out a message to the candidates, work hard. And also, BJP doesn't want to take any chances. I would not overread this letter as BJP has a fear of losing election. Yes, BJP doesn't want to take any chances. So such letter, such rhetoric in the election speeches are all instrument of mobilizing voters in your favor.
I know that this might be an unfair question, but is there, before the campaign started, it was assumed by political analysts, journalists that that Modi's third term was almost a given. जितना almost इसलिए बोल रही हूँ क्योंकि हम सब almost कहते हैं हमारी training है, but it was almost a given. Is there anything after two phases that makes you put a question mark on that, or are we really talking about margins? Because we have to remember that at 303, which was the BJP's number last time, the BJP can afford to lose some seats and still comfortably ride home to power. Has something fundamentally shifted when you say that the perception is being created that the opposition is putting up a good spirited fight?
The whole question is who are these we? You said, are we looking at a situation where BJP can slip below the majority mark? The big question is who are these we? And this we, there are sections of voters in this country who would belong to this section we, who believe that Prime Minister Modi is in trouble, BJP is in a trouble, and there are chances of BJP slipping below the majority mark. But I think at the same time, there is a much bigger section of we who believe that yes, BJP's seats may come down. BJP doesn't seem as confident as it was, maybe a couple of months ago. But whatever may come, BJP is coming back to power. BJP is getting a majority on its own. Worst come worst, BJP NDA will definitely get a majority. So my own sense is that the bigger narrative is that whatever may happen, but BJP is going to come back to power. The majority may go down, the numbers may go down. So that's the shared belief even among those who think that things seems to have changed on the ground.
I should clarify that all I mean by we is that as people who study politics, just that category of people, we believe that this was the BJP, this was an easy election for the BJP. And I just want to clarify कि जो भी कुछ बदला हो, you are still of the opinion and the assessment based on available facts that the Modi government is in pole position for a third term. Is that correct?
Absolutely, I would agree with that. That whatever may have changed, I'm not saying that things may not be changing, because in a 6 week, 7 week election, and when the campaign is still on, we have only completed 2 rounds of election. There are chances of things changing, and going by the popular perception, it seems that things are changing. To what extent we don't know at this moment. At least I don't know to what extent. But going by the popular perception, going by the way campaign has shifted or the tone and tenor of campaign is shifting, something seems to be changing on the ground.
Yeah. So this takes me to a CSDS survey that you did before the campaign when you asked people what are the important issues to them. And of course, unemployment and price rise, and we'll have that graphic come up in a moment, they were top of the mind. पर जब आपने राम मंदिर और हिंदुत्व के बारे में पूछा तो there were about 8% people who did identify the Ram Mandir as a big issue and 2% identified Hindutva. Now I want to share something with you, Sanjay ji. It could be that मैं तमिलनाडु, केरला, कर्नाटका, घूम के आई हूँ, तेलंगाना. In the south, right now I'm in Maharashtra, but in the southern states, Modi voters, people who like the Prime Minister, they said it's not because of Ram Mandir, it's because of India's position in the world. Ram Mandir did not seem to be an electoral issue. Do you believe the Mandir issue, electorally speaking, I'm not talking about religious sentiment, I'm simply looking at it as a political issue. Do you think it possibly peaked too early? What is our assessment? What is your assessment of how much of an election issue it's turned out to be?
It is true that the kind of euphoria which we witnessed by end of January, after Pran Pratishtha ceremony took place on the 22nd of January and early February, if you compare today with the early February, late January, the euphoria has gone down. But I think what you are looking at, you have been traveling in the south, and it is not unusual to believe or not unusual to figure out that the euphoria of Ram Mandir is likely to be less in the southern state compared to the North Indian state. And that is why I think the BJP also realizes that. And if you look at the campaign, the tone of the campaign of BJP in the southern states, especially on the media, social media, because we have also been tracking the nature of campaign in social media, the messaging, it is very clear, different messaging in for the southern state. For Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra, Telangana, it's more about development. It's not about Ram Mandir, etc. So my own sense is that, Barkha, as you would travel to the North Indian state, the Hindi heartland state, you might get a sense that Ram Mandir is a slightly bigger issue or a bigger concern or a bigger achievement for the BJP as seen by the people in the North Indian states.
Let's talk for a moment. I have other national questions, but let's talk for a moment about the state I'm in, Sanjay ji, and that is Maharashtra. Now, this is a very curious state, and the opposition has a lot of hopes riding on this state because यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Very fragmented. Sena versus Sena, NCP versus NCP. But in some seats, we've seen BJP workers and the Shinde Sena workers both arguing about kisko seat milni chahiye. In fact, only today have the candidates for Thane and Kalyan is where I'm sitting right now is Eknath Shinde's son. The seat has been announced. Now, I bring up Maharashtra because Maharashtra, Bihar, these are the two states with some parts of Rajasthan that are being identified by the opposition as states where they expect to gain. Is that an assessment you share?
Maharashtra, certainly, because we are talking about Maharashtra. If you look at the last Lok Sabha election, so the last Lok Sabha election, BJP and Shiv Sena, which was a united Shiv Sena at the time, had won a very large majority of seats. I think 43 out of 48 or 42 out of 48. Now there is a fragmentation in Shiv Sena. There is also a divided NCP. So my own sense is that the NDA is bound to lose in Maharashtra compared to 2019. Only question is how many seats. At this moment, it would not be even fair to discuss the number of seats which BJP or NDA is likely to lose. But my own sense is that the BJP still remains maybe as strong as it was. But now you have a divided Shiv Sena and you have a divided NCP. So very difficult. My own sense is Maharashtra is heading for a very interesting contest. 2 rounds of polling has already taken place. In the next 5 rounds, I think Maharashtra is going to witness interesting contest.
Let me share one feedback. People like Modi, the people I've been meeting here, they are fans of the Prime Minister, but they have some sympathy for Uddhav Thackeray. And both sentiments are coexisting in pockets.
I do get a sense that if you talk about the sympathy is in favor of Uddhav Thackeray. When we talk about the NCP, I in favor of Sharad Pawar. But remember, Indian voters vote on party symbol. The disadvantage with Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray is that the symbol is not with him. They would be contesting on a new symbol. So that's the difficulty these two parties would be facing. But I do agree that I also get a sense that the sympathy is in favor of the Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar.
Now let's zoom out back to national politics. Why do you think we have so much Hindu-Muslim issues on the one hand? बहुत ही वो pivots to polarization वापस आ गया है in the BJP campaign. So दोनों ही तरफ बहुत extreme campaign चल रहा है. One is a kind of save the country, save the constitution. राहुल गांधी अपनी constitution लेके आ रहे हैं. दूसरी तरफ the BJP is insisting that the Congress is going to levy some sort of inheritance tax. Rahul Gandhi has not helped matters with his speech in Telangana, where he spoke about a financial survey if they were to win. How do you see this polarization?
I think, as we discussed earlier, there is some sense that BJP is not has not emerged as strong as BJP or people tend to believe maybe a couple of months ago. So BJP is mounting attack on the Congress, just trying to send out a message to the people that why this election is important and why if BJP, if there is any upset, what damage it can do to the country as such. On the other hand, if you look at the Congress, I think they started getting a sense that there is some chance. I don't think that they get a sense that there is some chance of winning election, but maybe there is a belief that there is some chance of pulling down BJP below the majority mark. I think this is why both the parties, BJP on one hand and the Congress on the other hand, are trying to work hard, trying to convince the voters that it is important to vote for BJP and the Congress when leaders of two parties are campaigning for their own parties.
Sanjay ji, your survey on religious tolerance in India is on our screen. 79% people that CSDS surveyed said India belongs to citizens of all religions. Only 11% said it belongs only to Hindus. Is polarization going to work politically? I know there's no definitive answer to it, but given your survey, what is your answer?
Uh, See, there are parallel views which keeps going on in people's mind. If you ask this question standalone, you get a sense that a very large number of Indians don't, believe in or don't want to get into this Hindu Muslim thing in the day-to-day life. But when you juxtapose it or when you use it in the context of elections, when you use it in the context of political power, that if one party comes to power, who is going to get preference over the other? If you try and use this in that context, then people are more opinionated, and the division on this opinion gets sharp. The opinion on this question becomes divided much more sharply as you see standalone if you are asking this question. So generally, people would have this kind of a view. But when you put this question in the context of elections, power, who will get power and who will be marginalized, people would have a different opinion.
Sanjay ji, do you think Rahul Gandhi made a mistake with speech on Desh Ka X-ray, which Prime Minister has now picked up and adapted to his own speeches? Do you think he made a mistake with talk of a financial survey? And the fact is, when it comes to Muslim quotas in the UPA, there was a proposal to create a sub quota for religious minorities within the OBC quota. Now, how is this playing out? According to you, in the war of narratives?
No, certainly in the war of narratives, BJP is far more ahead, far more comfortable, far more strong compared to the Congress. But when you say whether Rahul Gandhi made a mistake, I don't think Rahul Gandhi made a mistake. But I think the way you communicate these things to the people, the delivery, the oratory, that is what gives BJP an advantage. But I'm sure uh, the thing which went to the advantage of BJP was when they pull out that statement by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh during his time when he said when the minorities, especially the Muslims, will be preferred over others. So I think that certainly is damaging the Congress when it comes to creating a perception about how Congress is likely to do or what kind of a policies Congress will indulge into if at all they come to power, or this is what they think about. Uh, I compare it with, like why I don't say that this whole statement of X-ray kar denge and the redistribution of wealth was not a bad statement, not a wrong statement, but maybe it was not communicated well. Because if you remember at the time of demonetization, when initially demonetization started and the sense started going that this is not going well in the minds of the people, and Prime Minister Modi at the time had mentioned that, look, this is a moment of the war of the poor against the rich. ये गरीबों की अमीरों के खिलाफ लड़ाई है, because everybody is standing in the queue to, and the rich people are struggling to save their money. Same thing, more or less same is being conveyed by Rahul Gandhi. Redistribution होगा, अमीरों के पैसे लेके हम उनको देंगे जो गरीब होंगे. But I think the way Prime Minister Modi communicated about demonetization, it was, like largely welcomed by the people and people appreciated that. But now the same statement is being used against the Congress.
Now, talking about the Congress, we finally have a timeline from Jairam Ramesh and when the Amethi Raebareli candidates are going to be announced. He says within the next 24 to 30 hours, most likely tomorrow. How do you read this delay? What's on? What is holding the Congress back? अगर अमेठी में doubt है, तो रायबरेली में क्यों doubt है? What do you make of this whole sort of situation the Congress finds itself?
No, the situation is very clear, Barkha. I don't think there's too much to read about that. I think the party is interested that someone from the Gandhi family, and especially Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, should be contesting from Amethi and Raebareli. That's my sense. That's what I think, that this is going on within the party. Party almost took a decision, but Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi doesn't want to contest from Raebareli and Amethi. So now party has to think of a new name, and party is finding it difficult to figure out a new name, new candidate for these two constituencies. They, in an ideal situation, they would like to put up someone in these two constituencies, the candidates having a very strong relationship, at least with the Gandhi family, because they would like to leverage on someone from Gandhi family representing these two constituencies for a very, very long time. And that's the difficulty for the Congress, that they are unable to find someone who would be seen as a very close associate of Gandhi family when Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi have decided not to contest from this election. As far as my understanding goes about the decision taken by Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi.
We haven't spoken about Prajal Rana, the grandson of Devi Gowda, facing very serious allegations, accused of having fled the country after being caught in a case or a series of cases of rape and sexual exploitation that were then put on camera. Some reports suggest that there were nearly 3,000 tapes. It was a BJP state leader who first alerted the party leadership to it. Now, he's not a BJP member, but the Prime Minister has shared moments with Devegowda where Ravanna has also been there. Do you see this becoming a big political issue? Because it goes beyond Karnataka. We talk so much about the female voter. It is not a happy situation for the BJP, this issue, and it's trying to disassociate itself. It's trying to transfer blame on the state government, which is the Congress government. How do you see it?
No, certainly it has damaged the reputation or the image of the BJP in BJP as such, because they are in alliance partner with JDS. So no way it is going to help the BJP. If at all there is some damage, it is damaging the electoral prospects of BJP in Karnataka, and it has damaged the image of BJP in other states as well.
My final question is, Sanjay ji, if you had to identify hits and misses on both campaigns, the ruling party and the opposition, let's start with the opposition. What are they doing better and what are they doing clumsy? And the same question for the BJP.
I don't know, because if you look at the campaign style, nature, or the issues which are being picked up by the two parties, it is shifting from one side, from one issue to the other. My own sense is that for the opposition, they should not have left the issue of unemployment and price rise, because that's really a burning issue on the ground. They picked up this issue long back, but it seems I don't hear much about price rise and unemployment on the ground when Congress and the other opposition parties are campaigning. With regard to the BJP, I think the BJP has slowly and gradually, they are not talking much about the developmental work done by the BJP. It has become more and more negative. Uh, if I see campaign, the nature of campaign, yes, the party which has been in power for 10 years, they should be talking about the achievements of the government. But I think they realize that what appeals to the people is when you attack the opposition, when you tell that these are the problems with the other party. And that is why all the BJP or most of the BJP speeches, whether it is by Prime Minister Narendra Modi or by other leaders, it is all in comparative perspective. This is what will happen if Congress comes to power. This is what was happening when Congress was in power, and this is the difference we have been able to make when we have been in power for the last 10 years. So always trying to compare with the past, with what BJP government has been able to. That's the strength, because everybody likes to compare. We all compare. This anchor, that anchor, this TV channel, that TV channel, this spokesperson, that spokesperson. That is what a general voter also does. They like that. But my own sense that the misses on the part of BJP is, you must state what has been the achievement of the government for the last 10 years.
There's definitely a heat wave, but is this a wave election?
Wave election. No, I would say at least till the second round of election, I don't get a sense that this is a wave election. A couple of factors for that. The one which you picked up early, it's not a heat wave, but yes, there is some heat, which is also second. It's a very long stretched election, almost the longest election we have ever seen. So when few constituencies goes to poll in a state, it does not create that kind of an euphoria. Parties also have to, like save their energy of all kinds, physical energy, energy of resources, etc. So difficult to get a sense that this is a wave election. I don't know. I haven't traveled to say Telangana, to Tamil Nadu or Kerala, but I think Kerala and Tamil Nadu would have seen election euphoria because the entire state went to poll on one single day. But if you look at states like UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, West Bengal, few constituencies going in election phase by phase, you would not get a sense of a wave or a euphoria in the entire state.
Well, still 4 more weeks to go, and it's only going to get hotter, both the weather and the political heat. Sanjay Kumar, Professor Sanjay Kumar of CSDS, always a pleasure, always learn so much from you. Thank you, sir. We'll have you back after the next phase. We hope to talk a little more about turnout and trends. Thank you and take care, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the close of another edition of the Dhavas of Democracy. Remember, our team is traveling from Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu to Kashmir. That is a very, very long road trip. We've been at it and enjoy the journey, following us through different states. At this moment, I want to say to all of you, do become a member of our community. If you haven't already, click on the link just below. You will have a chance to put direct questions to our newsmakers, as well as attend our offline events, as well as get published on our platform. So I hope more and more of you will become members of the community. Thank you for watching, and do look out for the next edition of Dhavas of Democracy, bringing to you all the flavors of Indian elections. We're at the Indian mainland's southernmost tip in Kanyakumari, the confluence of the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. It is from here that we're beginning our big road trip to the heart and the soul of India, Dhavas of Democracy. That's all about traveling thousands of kilometers to look at the food, the fun, the festivity, the flavors of this election, but also, of course, to tell the stories of you the people, of we the people. At Mojo Story, we have always gone to where the story is. It could be the battlefields of Israel and Gaza, it could be the conflict zone of Manipur, or it could be the sorrow and the tragedy of COVID. We think of all of you as members of our community, of our family. So, I'm urging you and requesting you today to help us tell your stories and our stories. So do become a Mojo member, support and power our storytelling, but also get first access to our big interviews, our special ground reports,